yeah, I'd like to order $1 million. She said, what? And I said, I want $1 million. And there was a pause. And right after that pause, she said, okay, that'll be $1.25 million. Pull forward, please. There's a lot of bullshit that is taught in college that is so far away from the realities of truly what it takes to run a business. Spoiler, there is no big sacrifice. It is no different than death by 1,000 cuts. It is all of the little small sacrifices that you look back over a decade or a 2-decade period and you realize all of those small sacrifices that you made is what led up to the big sacrifice. Hi, Doreen, how are you?
Hi, I'm great.
Now, okay, so yes, this is another episode of documenting the journey, but I want to say this because it's the perfect point of this whole documenting the journey. This is how I met Doreen. And we don't know each other well.
No.
But I was doing a walkthrough on the outside of the store with Matt, just kind of surveying damaged things that needed to be fixed. And we walk in front of the drive-thru speaker. And all of a sudden I hear, hi, welcome to Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez. Can I help you? And I thought, okay, I don't know this voice and they don't know me, so how can I add a little bit of levity? And I said, yeah, I'd like to order $1 million. She said, what? And I said, I want $1 million. And there was a pause. And right after that pause, she said, okay, that'll be $1.25 million. Pull forward, please. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's great. I want to know who this woman is. So thank you very much for doing this.
No worries.
But let's jump right in and see where this goes.
All right. So
You're not going to start with your opening question?
Oh, you know what? I guess I should start with my opening question.
Oh, yeah, I was like, I missed all the other ones. So
How long have you worked for me?
It'll be 2 years in February.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, this is meant to good questions and good information to come out of it. But I did not know that I've been employing you for 2 years, and so there are people that are inside of the business that I have not been able to get to know. Hopefully this brings us a little closer. I don't know though. It might be questions that you don't like the answers. You know?
Well, you usually count on me for inappropriateness. I believe I texted you a while ago.
I've seen some of your stuff on Facebook, and inappropriate or not, it makes me laugh. So hey. All right, what do you got?
What was your mission when you first started your company? This company, I should say.
No, up front, the mission, the goal was 50 stores in 5 years. And I look back now and I'm like, what a joke that was. But it was a joke because I did not understand the principles of truly building a business and of scaling. So I burned it all down in the first 5 years because I did not understand that good businesses are built on systems and processes for the purpose of duplicating a consistent result. And I was people dependent and I kept training people and we kept failing and I couldn't understand why I was failing, and it took me going and asking better questions and searching for better information in order for me to understand the true key principles of building a business to be able to scale it. So once I burned it all down and circled back around and was like, I didn't have a training program. I didn't have a construction and description. And it was in that process, I realized, well, people learn from one of 3 ways: by watching, by reading, or by doing. And it was like, had I built a training program from day one that covered all of the 3 ways you learned, because I don't know who you are and what your preferred method of learning is. So you build a training program that addresses all 3 ways to make sure whoever you're dealing with is understanding the process to continually produce a consistent result. I didn't understand that in the beginning. And maybe, since I never went to college, I don't know what they teach in college. I know There are valuable skills that they do teach in college that you're able to apply to building a business. But I also know that there's a lot of bullshit that is taught in college that is so far away from the realities of truly what it takes to run a business. I knew that beforehand, so I glossed over and was like, there's nothing to come out of school. I found that information through books, to which you can go back to school and say, okay, but it was required curriculum. The overall mission was, I truly believe in service. And I wanted to, I didn't want a cheap product. It was like, I knew I want to marry selling a high quality product to exceptional service, because I felt like you could build something on that. I still believe that today, but it's one of many pillars that you have to build in order to build a business. So just having a mission isn't enough. Just having mottos isn't enough. Just having principles, it's not enough. You have to have all of those pieces in order to truly be able to pursue a mission. And it took me the better part of a decade just to understand all of the multiple pillars you need. And then the reality is it took me another decade to actually start putting all of those multiple pillars in place. So, and today it is a national brand, 50 stores in 50 states for 2,500 operations, and potentially an international brand. And I will likely never have anything to do with that, because at my age, I'm sitting there going, I want to enjoy the fruits of the labor and build an organization so that other people can continue on with the foundation that I've built. I'm probably not going to build the skyscraper. I've just spent 20 years building the foundation for next generation to continue to build off of.
How does this location differ from when you first opened its doors to now?
It's like this is the middle road. I say that because the original didn't have anything to do with Pizza Junkiez. It was just Coffee Junkiez. And it was based around 200 to 400 square foot buildings. And then in my desire for, what's the word I'm looking for?
Growth?
No, because it was, because I want to say recognition, but it wasn't recognition. It was, my first operation was 400 square foot. And people kept telling me that they would hear all of these wonderful things about Coffee Junkiez, and then when they pulled into the building, they'd look at it and be like, that's it? Like, this is what I'm hearing all of these great things about? Hear that enough times, and it's like, my building was so small, even though it was on a good road, that I was not getting legitimacy. Like, they weren't looking at me like a legitimate business, because my building wasn't big enough. My storefront was not as respectable as everybody else's storefront. So 3 buildings down from me was a bank that went up on a closed bid auction. And at the end of the day, we ended up buying the bank and gutting it. And in my search for legitimacy, I learned one of the hardest lessons, because my rent on my initial property was $900 a month. All of my costs were factored around. My electric was $200-300 a month, rent $900, and so on. My very first month's electric bill in the new building was $1,100. That was the electric bill. Mm-hmm. So I went from a $900 payment to a $3,500 payment, and a $400 electric bill to an $1,100 electric bill. I never took into consideration the cost of energy and utility just to maintain a legitimate atmosphere. And I mean, like, not a atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Maintaining 70 degrees inside of a building costs money, and most people don't think about that. Okay, well, maintaining 70 degrees in 400 square foot is a whole lot cheaper than maintaining 70 degrees in 3,500 square foot. Mm-hmm. But to get back to your question, it was the building that I owned. So when I brought Pizza Junkiez into it, it was like, okay, Coffee Junkiez is the front of the house, Pizza Junkiez is the back of the house. We're gonna do drive-thru, we're gonna do delivery, and because we have 3,500 square foot, we're gonna do a dining room. Well, when I brought it back to Indianapolis to duplicate the concept, to prove its duplicatability, this place was available, and I thought, I want to buy another bank because I understand buying a bank and retrofitting it for a food operation. Then funny enough, like in Indiana or in Kokomo, we turned the safe or the vaults into a walk-in cooler. I thought, man, I got the most secure vegetables in town. So when I walked into this building, that was my first thought. Cost of converting a vault into a walk-in cooler, show me the vault. And then they walked me back and they showed me the vault, and I'm like, that's not a vault, that's a safe, and like you couldn't fit in it, much less so that was out. And the point is, we went from 3,500 square foot to 1,750 square foot. So the first thing that had to be knocked off of the plate here was no dining room. I think that I actually prefer the Indianapolis model over the 400 square foot or over the 3,500 square foot, because when you look at the pizza and coffee industry, coffee is predominantly drive-thru, pizza is predominantly delivery or pickup. There's just, when you look at the cost to maintain the environment by square footage, a dining room just does not serve well for pizza or coffee. But it is rather than thinking about buying raw land and building from scratch and paying an extra $500,000 or $1 million to make it 3,000 or 4,000 square foot, I think that for the profitability and for the maintenance of the overall, I think our comfort zone is in that 2,000 square foot, not having a dining room, and knowing that, yes, you might get more revenue out of that dining room, but you're also getting higher energy and utility costs, and they offset each other, or it's not worth it. I think Indianapolis is the best model, but as we go into other communities, if we come across a 3,000 square foot bank, it's like, okay, you have extra cost, you need to have a dining room. But when we find a building, ideally, that's in that 1,500 to 2,000 square foot, it's like, this is the sweet spot, and you just don't have a dining room.
I remember when I first came here, I think you guys were open a year and a half, and I walked in here with my dad after we were bowling, and I was like, there's nowhere to sit, and I was all bitter, but then we just took our food home, and I was like, but now I get it because now I work here, but I was just like, I have a dining room.
No, but I mean, when people, like, if you look at other pizza places, like they're either shying away from or they're legitimately closing their dining room. Pizza is just, and don't get, the bad thing is, our pizzas, 2 minutes out of the oven, like, man, we serve some really good pizzas but we've got a couple pizzas that I don't even like delivering them because they're just not as good 30 minutes later as they are 2 minutes out of the oven. But dining options for pizza, it just doesn't go well with the industry. And as far as the coffee industry, Starbucks referred to their third space. And Schultz was so confident in his third space, he literally claimed I could quit selling coffee and it would still be successful because they would put $500,000 to $1 million into the decor to make it an inviting hangout. I'm a blue collar guy. I don't have an extra $500,000 or $1 million just to throw into a building so that it has decor. I got into Coffee Junkiez for caffeine distribution. I got into Pizza Junkiez because I had a background in pizza and food and was like, I'm serving higher end beverages. This is my opportunity to serve higher end pizzas, and they complement each other well. So it is about feeding people and it is about relationships, but the dining room is just not a necessary piece because of the industry itself.
You kind of did touch on this already, but it's like, what have been some of your biggest learning experiences in running your business?
I just don't know that it's the same principle. I'm going to go off on a tangent in a different direction, but I'll circle back around because it's the principle. People say, if they don't know what they're talking about, that if you're going to go into business, you're going to have to make this big sacrifice. Spoiler, there is no big sacrifice. It is no different than death by 1,000 cuts. It is all of the little small sacrifices that you look back over a decade or a 2-decade period and you realize all of those small sacrifices that you made is what led up to the big sacrifice. Is there a major mistake that I have made that has somehow been like the golden answer that just makes it all make sense? No. It has been all of the small mistakes, all of the learning lessons that have collectively turned into a library so that I don't make those mistakes again and again and again. There has been no major silver bullet that has made me successful. There has been no silver bullet that has buried me. It's all of the little, you're living every day. What fire am I going to have to put out today? What personality am I going to have to deal with today? What roadblock is going to be put in front of me today? None of them were instant created success. None of them instantly met death nail. Each one of them were just little experiences that have collectively turned into a library of experiences that I will be able to apply to the next 10, to the next 20. But I know every single day I'm going to learn something from someone, from an experience, and it's just a library. And I think that library is what leads a lot of us intelligent younger people to wanting to set with older people, because you know that they are sitting there with a library of wisdom, and you want, like, a really intelligent person knows those older people still have something to offer because they're carrying that library of wisdom that you want to look at them and be like, don't die with that. Like, that this is that last thing that you can contribute back to society, that wisdom that took you a lifetime to actually acquire, give it back. And most of them don't give it back. And there's a couple of us younger people that are like, go seek out those older people because they've got a library of wisdom that you don't have to extract it. You just have to let them know you're very interested in the knowledge and information that they've acquired. And that has been the relationship with me and my mentor, is that I listen to the stories because I put myself in his world to listen to them, and I extract the lessons out of them in general. But it's no one thing. Everything in life, it's the little things that collectively build up into one thing.
When you're building your team, what do you look for?
Team players. That's teams, people that want, it's like, we are in service. Mm-hmm. If I was in sales, then I might be looking for that badass rainmaker salesman that can just flood you with sales. But I know likelihood is that loner type, really good personality is not a team player. They're not willing to share their successes and why they're able to be so good at what they're doing, because they're trying to hoard that information for themselves. That doesn't make a good team player. So I'm looking for genuine, caring personality. On the coffee side of it, directly, while we have been able to find people that they're like butterflies still in their cocoons and we're able to break them out of their shell, extroverted people recharge their batteries by interacting with people. So on the coffee side of it, having extroverts that seek that interaction with other people, that's always a positive in general. But the simple fact is, if you want to build something, it's going to take a group of people. And the only way that group of people is going to have any type of continuity is if they all want to work with each other and they all understand none of them can do it themselves. They need each other as a team. So it does come back to looking for people that understand teams accomplish big things and they want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and they understand they're bringing an element, and that element is contributing to a bigger whole, and all of us have something to teach and all of us have something to learn. That mentality is very important for building a team culture in general.
Explain your typical workday.
There's nothing typical. The thing is I've always embraced change. I think change is the one thing that's inevitable. So while I might be able to tell you what my typical work day is today or this month or this season, it's not the same. I have fought against that my entire life because in my being, that's not who I am. Matt would make a comment about the mobile office because I have always rejected having an office. I want to travel around. That's the difference. Like I was talking to Skylar about this, where it's a leadership style. Rebecca has a leadership style where she will sit in her office and she will wait for people to bring information to her. My leadership style is I will go collecting information and I will go probing and asking questions to extract information. I don't know where I would be had I embraced an office, because I think a lot of people create offices so that they can surround themselves with dumb shit that somehow feeds their ego. I've never been like that. So I very much do have a mobile office. I will drive from operation to operation, and I will freely talk with everybody until there needs to be a private conversation. And then let's go out to my car where I can at least get some form of privacy. So I have always rejected what most people deem as a typical workday. And I think that that's contributed to not burning out, because most people burn out through that daily 9 to 5 grind. Same. In business, there is no same. So there's just too many problems that can come from too many different directions. So while I realize the importance of a plan, I've never met anybody that has produced a specific plan. Nothing ever goes to plan. So I tend to be very fluid and I have a loose plan. And some people might tell me that I'm not as productive. You're probably right. But I accomplish the big things. I delegate effectively. At least I think I do. And I'm malleable, knowing things are going to change, circumstances are going to change. And that fluidity is what allows me to not burn out in a grind. I wake up every day, and if I'm deciding that I'm going to joke with myself, it'll be like, okay, well, what fire are you going to have to put out today? But likelihood is it's not the same fire that it was yesterday. So there's no rigidity in me. I can't operate that way. My business coach he is hardcore about his time management, and he literally has a time management coach. Freedom is more important to me than virtually anything else. And if you're doing this at 8:30, you're doing this at 8:45, you're doing this at 9 o'clock,
I want to shoot myself
that might put me into a padded cell. And I'm just like, when I left Chrysler to do this, there are certain things that I was like, I'm going to do it my way, hell or high water. And not having that structure was something that, and I mean, don't get me wrong, for I joke with the girls where I'm like, I was a barista and have always not been a morning person. And they're like, you're not a morning person and you opened a coffee shop? And I'm like, yeah, well, I started a business. I didn't intend on being the person that was opening a coffee shop. But for many years, I was a person that was opening a coffee shop. And I was waking up with my customers. But it was always always willing to do what's necessary in the moment until I can remove myself from that to try and go back to doing the things that I want to do, because I think that that's part of if you're going to grow a business, there's going to be a lot of things that you have to do because it's necessary, and you're not going to like it, but it's what's necessary and called for in the moment. But part of the reward of building a business is to be able to transition to doing the things that you like to do. I don't like a schedule. I don't like being caged. I am that definition of a caged animal. I'll come out swinging. I don't like that. So yeah, I keep it fluid, and I just try and devote my attention to the highest value thing in the moment.
Can we work on doing a pizza special? It's like random, but like we have a drink of the week, and I get that obviously doing a pizza for 50% off is just ridiculous, but like some type of special, like maybe for the month, and it's like $6 off of a 16-inch, so it's $20 instead of $26.15 is an idea.
Okay, and it's to address the overall. One, you're including tax.
On the first one.
It's $24.
Well, I mean, like, so with tax for the 16-inch is $26.15.
Yeah, no, that's what I said.
Yeah.
You're thinking about that. And I'm trying to make the point that the tax man, I don't keep that money. So that extra $2 in change, like I cannot factor that into any of my pricing, into any deals. I'm not allowed. They are the mob. They force me to collect it, and they force me to give it back to them. And they give me like 0.1% as to be a good boy because I paid on time. But if I don't and I pay a day late, it's like, bam, 10% penalty. It's the mob. I wish I didn't have to collect that sales tax so that we could just deal with the prices that were on the menu itself. To go the other direction, I don't mind doing, like they were on me about doing football specials, and I'm like, fine, put them together. I don't buy into gimmicks. I don't want my customer base to be the customer that's waiting on the next gimmick. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to be he has coupons that goes into my coupon drawer. I'm going to wait to order until he sends out the next coupon. That's not the kind of relationship I want with my customer. I don't think that that's how you build loyalty. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about those types of specials that we have with Coffee Junkiez that we don't have with Pizza Junkiez, it's because Coffee Junkiez is caffeine. You have to have it every day. So I can offer up those specials because I want to be the preferred caffeine of choice for you. And I know that if you decide that you like my product and you like my service, I'm going to see you 5 to 7 days a week. With pizza, you don't have that kind of loyalty. And when they decide that they like your pizza, you just go into their world of, I'm in the mood for pizza. Spin the wheel. Which pizza place am I in the mood for? So when you get a customer on the pizza side, you're doing really good if they order from you twice a month. It's not 5 to 7 days a week. So if you're giving a deal, that deal, there's no profit in the deal whatsoever because it's a deal. And if people are ordering from you twice a month, well, one time a month, you're not making any money off of them. And the second time, you're getting regular full price. And I'm like, I want my customers to be loyal to me because they appreciate the quality and the service. And in reciprocity, I want to appreciate them because they're not looking to me for a deal. They're not looking to me for a discount. They're valuing the relationship with me based on the quality of the product and the service itself. And that is a reciprocity deal in itself both sides appreciate what each other is bringing to the table. And it is a mentality. The people that are looking for the deal, they're not looking to be loyal. That loyalty can always be brought into question because they're going to make their decisions based solely on price. And are you giving them a gimmicky promotional deal? I would rather all of us put our focus and attention into pride of building the product, caring about the customer, and having a great service experience than sitting down and literally thinking about putting time into thinking about the next gimmicky deal that's going to get a non-profitable transaction in the door or in the drive-thru. I just feel like energy expense, that's not a good place to put that resource of energy because it's not bringing the relationship to the table that's built in good reciprocity from both sides. Because I've looked at it and I'm like, if what we're doing is not profitable, the amount of risk that I take, the amount of responsibility that I take, it's not worth it. And in life, everything is programming. I'm not trying to program a customer base that says our relationship is built on what gimmick or what deal. That to me comes off as fake. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work with my personality and what I value. And it's like, I want my people to value, I want my customers to value the same thing. So it's like, be who you are, walk the path that you're going to walk, and find your tribe that values those things. Be loyal to them and be consistent with them to show them you are that person all the time. And these are your principles and values all the time. And then it is a great relationship that you both want to reciprocate with each other. I just think that the relationships that you manufacture through gimmicks and discounts are they're shallow relationships. They're not deep relationships. And I don't want to waste my time with shallow relationships.
Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself. What were some of your challenges that you faced? You got 20 years of shit to talk about.
I'll tell you what. It's I go back to the death by 1,000 cuts. The challenges. I mean, you have the standard challenges. Being undercapitalized as a small business, always knowing that capitalism is about competing. The biggest challenge is people. I love people. I need the connectivity in life. I freaking hate people. There are so many low character pieces of that in order to do business in public, you're going to encounter all of them. And I tell all of the girls when they've had a chance encounter with a low character individual, if you didn't have that low character individual, you wouldn't know to really appreciate the really good ones. Mm-hmm. So it is a love-hate relationship. And it is you're not going to just, in life, you only do business with, you only interact with really great people. Because one, if you did, you would never fully appreciate them for the greatness of who they are, because you would take it for granted because it's all that you would come across in general. So it's like the biggest challenge is also the biggest reward. The biggest challenge is trying to corral a group of people, and they all have different motives, and they all have different priorities and responsibilities, and they all have different personalities. It's hard to corral them. And then inevitably, if I'm running a business and I need 10 people to run the business, do you think I can just hire 10 people?
No.
No. Because somebody's always going to act stupid And if you have not hired the 11th or the 12th person, then when that somebody or somebody's act stupid, then you're going to have to look at the other good people and say, can you carry their weight? They might in the moment. That'll only go for so long, and they'll be like, you know what, you're expecting too much out of me, and then you're losing good people. So you inevitably have to overhire. But then I've had some people that they contribute to my mental well-being. Like they are high character, hardworking, wonderful human beings, not just employees, human beings. Mm-hmm. And it's in those moments that I'm like, it keeps me going. That's what's worth it. And it's in these moments that I got to remind myself, they're not worth spending your life in jail. Because there are people, I'm just being candid, that should not be drawing air. They're low character people, and the only reason that they're drawing air is because of laws. But then there are other people that truly deserve the world, and they're happy with so little. And I'm like, that's good mental health. Those are a good individual. How can you serve them more? How can you get nearer or closer and spend more time around them? But it is that dichotomy of you love them and you need them in your life so you don't go insane, and you hate them and you really want to make them disappear because you know they're not anybody. They're having a negative effect on their life, and that is humanity, and that is the good and the bad of dealing with people and personalities. And that's why it's one of the biggest reasons that I tell people don't go into business, because you instinctively think, I know how to do good work. I know how to take care of people. I know how to create. I know how to duplicate. I know how to run. In business, that don't mean nothing. You have to get other people to come help you do that. And everybody has a bad day. And it's a question of, can you take on the responsibility of a group of people? Can you manage the risk of that group falling apart and then having to bring on new people? And that is a constant cycle in business in general. And that's why most people are not cut out for it, because they can't flex with the demands of the business. They can't take the pressure of everybody comes together collectively, but they all have their own personal interests. And you would better be interested in each one of those personal interests, because as soon as you're not interested in one of them, then they withdraw from the group, and then you've got to start all over in that position. People are the biggest challenge of being in business, but yet if you can amass a bunch of people, you can build a great business.
Explain is it Sacred Rabbit?
Scared Rabbit?
Yeah, that. Because apparently I can't read either. Yeah. You explain that. I'm not as familiar with your other brands, so I was like, that's going to be one of my questions.
No, so in the very beginning when I started the business, the internet, I don't know, I'm thinking about it, this is 2005. If the internet existed, it was not existed in what everybody knows today.
Right.
So I very much started by cutting my teeth in old world media. And since I didn't know what worked, I said yes to everything. It was throw it against the wall and find out what works. Then I missed the boat. Like, had I picked up on social media when it very first came on scene, we'd be so much bigger. But then it clicked. Then we started getting more active in social media, and I saw the power of social media, and we built a nice following. Well, then fast forward to where we are, where it's like, okay, we're ready to start franchising, and now we're ready to start duplicating on scale with franchisees and other teams. You have to have a national ad campaign. The franchisor has to be responsible for, like, you need a franchisee to come in and focus on building product and building your team and serving your customers. That's part of what you buy into when you buy into a franchise that You don't need to be an accounting wizard. You don't need to be a marketing genius. These are all things that are brought to the table. Well, I built the customer base. I built all of the social media and marketing myself. And I say that I had help. I brought in expertise, but in order to build a national ad campaign, it was, I'm going to have to go hire another marketing company. I didn't want to give up that control. Well, I had a web development firm that had a social media arm of their business in my backyard that was for sale. And I thought, if I buy this business, I can be involved in my own web development. I can be involved in all of my own social media management and activity. I can be involved in all of the graphic design. And one of my outlets it's like to be in business, you have to be very analytical, very methodical. But part of what will grow a business is, well, how creative can you be in the marketing yourself? So the creative is always an outlet for me. Well, by buying Scared Rabbit, I was able to keep that in-house, and it was a place to where I'm like, I can explore my own creativity through the company itself. So I saw it as, I need this element, and if I hire it out, they're going to be thinking about profit, not about giving me the best. Mm-hmm. And if I own it myself, then I can choose who's involved to make sure they're solely focused on our brands. And I think big picture, while it takes a little bit of time to scale that to the point where the company's not losing money, I see this big master plan of, well, if I even have 100 operations and each one of those operations pays 1% into a national ad campaign, that means I will have one operation worth of revenue, or somewhere $1.5 million a year. And I'm able to go hire the best of the best in marketing and advertising to hire them to where their sole focus is Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez. I like that idea better than going and just being a number and being a customer to somebody else's marketing firm and taking what I get out of them. Some people will, because I can look back and really question whether I should have bought Scared Rabbit, because there was a whole mess of that had to be cleaned up on that end of it. But that was the intent of buying it, because it was a place to explore creative and make sure that as we rebuilt that side of it, that the people that were in there, that I was able to very much have a team that were like, this is your focus. Because I knew that on scale, it would lead to, I can hire the best video editors, the best graphic designers, the best, most creative, talented people to bring into, okay, you're being paid to focus on marketing these brands to the best of your ability. And you're not going home thinking, well, I got to produce a tagline for this brand, and I got to produce a marketing campaign for this. And in my head, it all works. Now it's like, now I'm logistically trying to make it all work.
All right. And so my last question is dumb. But anyways, so what is your favorite pizza and your favorite coffee?
Okay, the coffee part is easy. The house coffee.
Who's your...
Yes. Because, and you know what, because in some ways I'm a vanilla guy, and in other ways I'm pretty, I think, fancy myself as a pretty exotic guy. I like the beverages in general, but the vast majority of it, the lattes and mochas, that's not for me. Like the majority of that, I knew that is a female customer base item. They want the foo-foo beverages. I'm still, my mother gave me a very wide palette when it comes to food. So I know that I have I'm a closet foodie. And I say a closet foodie because I like all that stuff, but I'm still very much a, you know what, I'm meat and potatoes. You slap a good steak down and I'm happy. I live on the house coffee. 3 cups a day, black, don't need no weird shit in it. Like, just give me my house coffee. But the menu was like specialty beverages for whatever your taste buds and flavor palette is. And I'm saying it like that because I didn't have a frame of reference when it came to Coffee Junkiez. I knew what the industry was about. I did the investigation. I wasn't a big coffee drinker until I got into business. When I decided I wanted to create Pizza Junkiez, I delivered my first pizza the day that I got my license at 16 years old. I have worked for multiple pizza places. I had a frame of reference. I knew what I wanted. So when I got in and I started creating the menu, it was like, it wasn't even about everybody else's input. I had such a frame of reference on pizza. I knew what I wanted. So I would say, personally, my most favorite pizza is probably the Soprano. I created that off of another sandwich that there's another food establishment that's their, I go there for that sandwich and I'm like, I want a pizza version of that. So I came back to create it myself. The pizzas were, I've seen all types of creations, and it's like the Cajun heat, so awesome. The Doreen Taco Supreme, good. I love pepperoni, and it was like, too many people do a pepperoni pizza. No, that pepperoni mania, 3 layers of pepperoni. I'm like, if you're going to do it, like, do it badass. Mm-hmm. The Soprano is my favorite, and I will take it a step further to say I have burnt myself out on the thick crust. I want the thin crust Soprano if I make a pizza for myself. But I'll say that if I get the buffalo, it's not the same on the thin crust. I want the buffalo on the thick crust. But I mean, the thing is out of the 25 specialties, there's only 2 or 3 of them that I'm just like, yeah, not for me. The Picasso, not for me. The Heisenberg, not for me. Why? I don't like mushrooms. I don't like blue cheese. So there are a couple pizzas in there that I'm like, those pizzas are not for me because I don't like the sauce or I don't like the toppings. The Ricky Bobby is one of our best-selling pizzas. It's not my personal favorite because I don't like the junkie sauce is a sweet and tangy red sauce. I like more of a traditional tomato red sauce. Yeah. So it's like I built the menu to satisfy that palette of taste buds that are out there. But I'm a meat and potatoes guy. I don't, what's exotic about the Soprano? I have a personal affinity for banana peppers. I don't know why. And I think salami is underrated. And when you start putting up together all of the toppings on the Soprano, it's like, I really appreciate the banana peppers. I really appreciate the salami on top of the pepperoni and the sausage and the onion and no, that don't have basil on it, does it? It's just oregano. Yeah, this is a heavy oregano. It's the Italian Soprano. But yes, I know, long way around. I love the Soprano, AKA the Italian, but I'm pretty, you know the old saying, pride cometh before the fall? Mm-hmm. I try not to be proud in that way. Because I know that it's ego-based, and as soon as your ego gets so big, somebody will come knock you down a peg. I'm proud of our menu. I've had a lot of input on it, but I haven't been the only person. It has been collaborative as a whole. The Picasso was my sister's invention. The Ricky Bobby was an employee addition. The kid's name was Ricky. I've been willing to receive information and be a consummate tester because everybody has good input, and I value that creativity that comes from everybody. Collectively, I can look at the menu and almost line item there's a story behind them that had to do with me interacting with somebody else that came to the creation of that specific menu item. So I look at the menu and I just see a bunch of stories. So collectively, I'm proud of the menu.
Oh, this is actually a funny thing. Can we have like a purge day once a month for our customers that suck ass?
My only fear to that is going back to what I said. That if
It's not
you
worth
did
the
that,
jail time.
well, no, if you did that, then you would really get down to only these customers. And then my fear is you would start taking them for granted because those ones that you just want to punch in the mouth, if it wasn't for them, you would not get that constant feedback loop of reminding you just how great the rest of them are. But I completely, I get it.
I was like, we should have a purge day once a year.
No, I feel that way from time to time about customers. I feel that way from time to time about employees. I feel that way from time to time about people. And that's why I always said that, because I went to Chrysler, and then from Chrysler, my entrepreneurial journey. And I always told myself, that if this didn't work out, that I would either be a bartender or a truck driver. And I know today I couldn't be a truck driver because I'd kill somebody. The road rage, the stupid people that are on the road, I know I could never be a truck driver because sooner or later bad things would happen. It's knowing your limits.
That was all my questions.
Okay. Well, then let's get to my two questions. Why do you choose to work for me?
So when I first interviewed in February of 23, it'll be 2 years. And yeah. So when I first interviewed, it was just because I like to buy dumb things. And I wanted extra money. I have a big girl job. And so I was like, I just wanted... And I've always worked 2 jobs, been a single mom. So I was just like, that's what I'm going to do. And so Matt and Skylar interviewed me and they were like, do you like coffee? And I'm like, absolutely not. No, I do not. And then they're like, okay, well, there's a lot of younger people that work here. How do you feel about that? And I was like, my dad told me not to be myself. I was like, but I do not like people. I was like, I'll be fine. I was like, and I can fake it all day long. But I was just like, it's fine. But I'm saying because like, your management, your team, they will work with you. They're not afraid to get their hands dirty, and I appreciate that because my big girl job, my bosses don't do that, and it pisses me off. And so we have a lot of conversations, and so the fact that like it is absolutely a team, and it's an awesome team that you built. And this is like of all my part-time jobs that I've had in my 40 whatever years. Like it's amazing. I don't dread coming in here. I'm like, Skylar, why do I not have any hours? And she's like, you can't get here till 4. And
that's because the thing is, look, today, 20 years later, there's a lot of things that you won't see me do. It's not that I won't do them or that I'm too good to do them. We just evolved to a level where it's like I'm there. These are not the things that I've done, but base level, it was always do what nobody else wants to do to show you're no better than anybody else, that you're willing to do the shitty work because it all has to be done. And as a leader, if you're willing to go do the shittiest part of it, you're setting an example for everybody else. So when you're saying this, I'm like, they have seen I'm willing to clean the grease trap. I'm willing to do the dishes. I'm willing to mop the floors. I'm willing to take out the trash. I'm willing to clean the oven. I'm willing and able to do any of it and all of it. I find none of it to be beneath me. I would not want that attitude out of the managers. I know I need to lead by example in order to surround myself with people that will lead by example. And generally, yes, I think that if everybody sees that managers obviously have a higher, but there are certain things that they need to be doing the majority of their time. But if a manager is like, oh, I'm a manager, I shouldn't have to take out the trash. Well, get the fuck out of here with that. I don't want you as a manager. if that's your mentality.
Right.
It's not. I understand if a manager needs to be doing this, this, and this, and you need to be delegating this, this, and this. But there are times where it's either necessary or it's good to send the message to your people. I'm not unwilling to do any of this work. I'll get down there and get my hands dirty with all of you. And there have been many times if I wasn't on my hands and knees scrubbing the floor with them, I was on my hands and knees scrubbing the floor, looking up at them, saying, okay, I've gotten all of the dirt out of the cracks and crevices. Will you go get a mop and mop up? I did the hardest part so that they can do the easier part to make the point. I'm no better than anybody else, and I'm willing to do the shitty work. And again, I knew that I was going to have to transition into the orchestrator and the coach. And I wanted to be a coach to say, if I'm willing to get in there and do it, I want my managers to be willing to get in there and do it so that it continually sends a message down. Because I think people should be in love with work in general. And I just, it's like so many people, oh, food and beverage. What's wrong with that work? Oh, you're a trash person. What's wrong with that work?
Right, in a union.
Yes, this is all of this work is what has to be done in order for the entire cycle of society to exist. So why would you look down on this work? And then why would you hold this work in such high regard? Generally, this work is probably more productive to society than this shit is. And then you got the gamut of everything in the middle. And I'm like, I know that I'm different, but I'm no better than anybody. And I'm happy to show it. And in the Kokomo operation, like stupid stuff, I will look at it and I'll be like, I don't want to get involved in transacting with the customers. But they've got so many customers. How can I help? I can take out the trash. That gets an empty trash bin so that they don't have to trouble themselves with that. I can go get ice and fill up the ice bins so that they don't have to worry about that. They can keep serving drinks. I can go get the lettuce out of the back to make sure that the salad bar is maintained so that they can continue on helping customers. What are the little things, the little ways that I'm able to contribute? And generally, those little ways are the things that people are like, oh, that's beneath me. No, none of that is beneath me. That's not, I live by my own code that most people do not find acceptable. I have my own principles in life that most people see as being too rigid. But how do I look at myself in the mirror every day and live with myself and sleep with myself? I know I'm not a bad person. I know I'm willing to give the shirt off my back. I know that I'm willing to be the guy that takes out the trash and cleans the grease trap and scrubs the floor. I know that I'm not that, oh, I'm better than. And those are the people that I just want to punch in the mouth because they think that they're better than. And I'm like, you put your pants on the same way everybody else does. You bleed the same way everybody else does. You do not deserve to be put on a pedestal. And in many ways, some people will look at me and say, oh, well, maybe you're slowing down your success. I'm a blue collar guy, and I got comfortable with me being who I am a long time ago. I do know that I am different. And when I say I'm different, I have beaten the odds that I know the average person is not capable of beating. That doesn't necessarily make me smarter. That just makes me maybe a little dumber because I just don't know when to quit. I'm a stubborn individual and I don't know when to stay down when I got knocked down because there's so little up here. I just know get up and keep moving forward. Like it doesn't register with me. Oh, that hurt. Maybe I better not do that again. No, I just keep getting up and I keep coming for more. And I have been able to beat odds doing that. I don't know that that's a sign of intelligence. That's just a sign of stubborn and strong will. And I think that that's why when you look out to a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they're not the smartest person in the room. They're stubborn. They just kept coming. And then once they got a little bit of success, they went out and they surrounded themselves with smarter people. And my hope is that when I surround myself with smarter people, that they will know, don't put your nose in the air because he doesn't play that way. Yeah. Doreen, why should other people patronize Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez?
Because this place is actually outstanding. I talk about it at work, and a lot of my people who at my big girl job, they don't live on the south side, but I've gotten some of them to come down here, and I'm like, you gotta try it. She's like, next time I'm in town. I was like, well, just come in town for no reason. I was like, because it's fresh and it's made to order. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and you will get some smart aleck remarks when the window's closed, but for me, because our customers, I love them and hate them, like I said. But this is by far just one of the best companies I've ever worked for, honestly. So
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That means a lot.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that we give out dog treats.
Pets
is my favorite.
Are like family.
We had some lady who wouldn't let me give her dog a treat, and I was like, "What did you bring him here for?" And she was like, "What?" And I was just like, "I'm going to close the window so I can talk about you." She thought it was funny, but I was just like, "You get a complaint. I earned it."
Wow. No, and it is I think it goes without saying that, like they say, dog's your man's best friend. I don't subscribe there. I'm animals. Animals are part of family. Mm-hmm. I had a Rottweiler. Bacchus was such a member of the family that when he died, I couldn't bring myself to get another dog because I felt like I would have been trying to replace, and he was such a piece of the family. That and going off on a tangent, Bacchus died when he was a little over 8 years old. My son was a little over 8 years old. I can't take that close of a relationship and losing it after 8 years. Mm-hmm. So I went back to cats because cats, you get 15, 20 years out of them. And my cat's name is Zanny. She is my personal Xanax. There is a certain therapeutic effect to stroking a cat. And yes, animals are definitely very much a part of your family. My biggest concern is if we knew what they were thinking, we might be scared.
Right. Well, and for the longest time, we have 2 regulars that come in every weekend. I didn't know their owner's name. I knew the dog's name. I knew Lilo and I knew Chuck I knew Isaac. And then finally he was like, I'm Chuck. And I go, oh, well, now I know your name. I still don't know Lilo's dad's name until I look at his credit card, but it doesn't stick because I'm just like, Lilo, you're so cool. Yeah. So they were trying to ask me, they're like, oh, this person came in to give Alexis something. And I was like, who's in? She's like, oh. And then I go, why didn't you just say it was Leonard's dad? I was like, I know his dog. Wow. I was like, I like them more. So.
It makes perfect sense. Doreen, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me. Did I get that?
All right.
I still good on time?
Yep.
Okay.
Till next time. Have a great day. Powered by Coffee Junkiez and Pizza Junkiez.
Oh, I got it.